They didn't accidentally hurt you, they chose to. Every word, every move was deliberate, and you were the target. Have you ever wondered how someone could look you in the eye, smile, and still plan your downfall behind your back? What if I told you the greatest revenge isn't revenge at all, but a calm so powerful it makes your enemies question their very existence? They hurt you. Not by mistake, not by confusion, but by decision. They calculated your pain, measured your trust, and then betrayed it. Maybe they stabbed you in the back with lies. Maybe they sabotaged your work when you weren't looking. Maybe they smiled while spreading stories that ruined your name. The details don't matter. What matters is this: it was intentional. And now you're left standing in the ruins they created while they walk away untouched, almost proud of the wreckage. Inside, you want them to feel what you felt: the regret, the shame, the weight of what they did. You want them to face consequences. That desire is human. It's natural. But chasing revenge is a trap, one that keeps you chained to them. Every moment you spend thinking about payback only feeds their power. The Stoics understood this truth long before psychology gave it words. The best way to make someone regret hurting you isn't to hurt them back. It's to become so unbothered, so peaceful, and so successful that their only punishment is having to watch you rise above them. Your calm becomes their consequence. Your growth becomes their regret, not because you tried to destroy them, but because you refuse to let their cruelty define who you are. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." True power is not mirroring their darkness. It's transcending it. Today, I'll show you 8 Stoic principles for responding to intentional harm. Not revenge that traps you, but wisdom that frees you, turning your pain into power and your silence into strength. The final principle is the most transformative. It makes you completely untouchable. No future betrayal, no insult, no attack can shake your peace again. By the end of this video, you'll know how to turn their attack into your advantage and walk away with your calm intact. If you're ready to transform the pain they caused into Stoic power, hit subscribe, because your peace is about to become their biggest regret. Principle number 1. Don't give them the reaction they wanted. When someone hurts you deliberately, they want proof they mattered. Your anger, your tears, your public meltdown, that's their victory. Your visible pain is their trophy. The Stoic response: deny them that satisfaction. This isn't about burying your emotions. It's about not performing your pain for their entertainment. Feel it privately, process it quietly, but never hand them the show they crave. No arguments, no emotional confrontations, no desperate explanations. They expect chaos, but you give them calm, a neutral face, maybe silence. That's not weakness, that's strategy. Because when they realize their attack didn't even scratch your peace, regret begins to grow inside them. Their words hit air. Their betrayal finds no reaction. And suddenly, they start to question if they ever had any power over you at all. I saw this once with a colleague betrayed in front of an entire team. Someone exposed private information just to humiliate them. Everyone expected tears, shouting, a dramatic defense. Instead, they simply went silent. No anger, no excuses. Just composure. Days passed. And the betrayer kept waiting for a reaction that never came. That silence was louder than any scream. A week later, the same person tried again. A sarcastic remark, sharp enough to draw blood. But still nothing. Just calm professionalism. No spark, no anger, no sign that their words had landed anywhere near the heart. Eventually, they couldn't hold it in and told a mutual friend. I thought they'd at least care enough to fight back. That confession said everything. The indifference, that quiet, unshakable calm, hurt far more than any revenge ever could. They finally realized their attack meant nothing to someone who had already decided they were irrelevant. Epictetus once taught, "If someone speaks badly of you, consider whether what they say is true. If it is, correct yourself. If not, laugh it off." That's the Stoic secret weapon, discernment. When someone tries to wound you intentionally, they're not after truth. They're after a reaction. They crave validation that they still have power over your emotions. Don't give it to them. Your calm in the middle of their storm becomes their confusion. Your indifference becomes the mirror that reflects their emptiness. And that's where regret begins to grow, quietly, like a shadow following them home. Feel privately, but respond neutrally, or not at all. Deny them the satisfaction of visible pain. Watch them chase a reaction they'll never get, because that is the moment their control over you collapses. Refusing to react takes away their short-term victory. But the next step, the second Stoic principle, build something even they can't ignore. Your undeniable success. Principle number 2. Focus all your energy on becoming better, not getting even. Revenge consumes everything. Your time, your peace, your mental space. Every minute spent plotting payback is a minute stolen from your growth. They hurt you once, but revenge makes you relive it again and again, keeping you tied to them through bitterness. The Stoics saw through this illusion. They understood that the attack itself can become the catalyst for transformation. Pain is not your enemy. It's raw energy waiting to be refined. So when they sabotage your work, create something better. When they spread lies, build results so undeniable that the truth shines through your actions. When they betray your trust, succeed so clearly that your integrity speaks louder than any defense. Turn your anger into focus. Turn your pain into fuel. Let every achievement become your silent response to their cruelty. Because nothing creates regret quite like watching the person they tried to break rise higher than ever. They wanted to slow you down, but you accelerated. They wanted you small, but you grew unstoppable. Now they're forced to watch you succeed while they remain stuck in the same place, haunted by what they threw away. Their lies crumble on their own, exposed by your results. Their sabotage backfires. Not through revenge, but through your evolution. A friend of mine lived this truth. His business partner betrayed him, stole credit, ruined a major deal, and forced him out of the very company he built. He could have spent years in court, drowning in anger. But instead, he turned every ounce of frustration into creation. 18 months of relentless work. A new company, better clients, a stronger vision. And soon, the results spoke for themselves. His new business thrived, while the old one began to sink. Then one day, the ex-partner reached out. The message sounded friendly, but the intent was clear. They needed him. His reply was calm and firm. "I appreciate the message, but I'm fully focused on my current projects." And in that moment, the truth hit hard. The act of sabotage hadn't just ended a partnership, it had closed the door to someone whose success they now depended on. Seneca saw this centuries ago. The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy, to rise so high that they can no longer reach you. The best revenge is massive success. When you stop chasing payback and start focusing on your own growth, something remarkable happens. You win twice. First, through your transformation. And second, by making them completely irrelevant to your journey. They wanted to break you, to shrink your confidence, to make you doubt your worth. But every new success you achieve becomes living proof that they failed completely. So take all that energy, every ounce of anger, disappointment, and betrayal, and redirect it toward building yourself. Let your results speak for you louder than any insult or argument ever could. Let your progress be the only response you'll ever need to give. Each step forward becomes a quiet declaration. I'm not defined by what happened. I'm defined by what I create. Next, if these first two Stoic Principles have already shown you a higher path. One, where you rise without resentment and build a life they can't touch. Then make sure to subscribe and hit like, because we still have 6 more Stoic principles to uncover, each one taking you further, from self-mastery to total transcendence, until their attack no longer holds any meaning in your life. Principle number 3, cut them out completely. Indifference is the ultimate power. When someone hurts you deliberately, they expect to remain relevant. Maybe as an enemy, maybe as a ghost in your thoughts, but still there. They want space in your mind, even if that space burns. They want to know that they still matter, that they still live rent-free inside your head. The Stoic move? Erase them entirely, no contact, no checking their profile, no asking mutual friends how they're doing, no curiosity, no updates, no mentions, because even hate is a form of attachment, and you're done carrying that weight. This isn't about revenge, it's about liberation. You're not punishing them by cutting them off. You're freeing yourself from the residue of their presence. They lose the privilege of access to your life, your thoughts, your energy. From this moment on, they become a non-entity, a stranger whose name no longer echoes in your world. So what does this look like in real life? You block them everywhere. Social media, phone, email, gone. You stop talking about them, stop asking about them, stop replaying what happened. You detach from mutual connections who keep bringing their name up. If they can't respect your boundaries, this isn't cruelty. It's protection. You're not being cold. You're being clear. And here's the irony. Your silence hurts far more than your anger ever could, because they expected to stay relevant, even negatively. They thought they'd still live on in your reactions. But when you give them nothing, not even hate, that emptiness becomes unbearable. They watch from the outside as you move on, grow, and thrive. You never mention their name, never acknowledge their existence. To them, it's as if they've been erased. And that's what cuts deepest. I once saw this happen after a public betrayal between 2 close friends. One of them exposed private details to humiliate the other in front of everyone. No confrontation followed, no emotional scene. The betrayed friend simply went silent, blocked the other on every platform, removed all contact, and never spoke their name again. Months later, mutual friends said the ex-friend kept asking, "How are they doing? Are they okay? Did they say anything about me?" But the answer was always the same, nothing. 6 months of complete silence. Not a single mention. Then fate intervened. They ran into each other at a public event. The betrayer tried to speak, hoping for some reaction, but the person just looked right through them. Not with anger, not with hurt, but with complete neutrality, polite, calm, as if they were looking at a stranger. Later, a mutual friend said the ex-friend was devastated. It's like they never existed to them. Exactly. That quiet erasure, that total indifference, wounded deeper than any revenge ever could. Marcus Aurelius understood this perfectly. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Being unlike them means refusing to carry them in your thoughts, your conversations, your energy. They hurt you intentionally, and in doing so, they lost the privilege of your attention. Your indifference is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's a boundary drawn in peace. Remove them completely. No contact, no mention, no attention. Let them fade into nothingness, while you move forward untouched. Live as if they never existed. Let them see your life unfold without a single trace of them in it. That quiet removal, that calm continuation, is where real regret begins to settle in. The first 3 Stoic principles protect your peace immediately. The next 3 build something undeniable, a life so rich, so full, that even from afar, they can see exactly what they destroyed. Principle number 4, build a life so good, They see what they destroyed. This isn't about flaunting your success or proving a point. It's about genuinely building excellence. A career that grows stronger. Relationships that deepen with people who truly value you. Journeys that take you to the places you once only dreamed about. Growth that feels authentic. Happiness that doesn't need to be performed. Because when your life expands in every direction, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. They will see it. Not because you're trying to show them, but because your progress naturally radiates. And when they do, they'll finally understand what their betrayal cost them. Not your peace, but their place in your story. This is what it looks like in real life. Your career advancing. Promotions, creative projects, accomplishments you're proud of. Healthy relationships built on mutual respect. Adventures, learning new skills, rediscovering confidence and joy. Every part of your life growing. Not for show, but because you finally stopped carrying their weight. You're not doing it to make them jealous. You're doing it because you deserve this growth. But make no mistake, they will see it. And that's where regret blooms. They see thriving where they expected brokenness. They see light where they hoped for darkness. They realize they cut themselves off from someone who became valuable, someone who built with others what could have included them, if only they had chosen differently. Their absence made no dent in your upward path. You didn't crumble, you evolved. And that's when the truth becomes undeniable. They were replaceable in your life. But you were never replaceable in theirs. I know someone who lived this truth. After being betrayed by a close friend who leaked private information and damaged their reputation, they could have turned bitter, withdrawn, or quit. But instead, they chose the Stoic path. They rebuilt. They poured themselves into their work, earned a major promotion, and finally traveled to the countries they had always dreamed of visiting. They formed new friendships, genuine, loyal ones. They started sharing glimpses of this new life online, not to boast, but simply as a reflection of living fully again. Eventually, a mutual acquaintance mentioned that the ex-friend had been quietly watching those updates. They saw the promotion they once celebrated together, now celebrated by new people. They saw the travels, the laughter, the calm confidence of someone they expected to fall apart. And one day, the ex-friend admitted, "I didn't think they'd be okay without me. I thought I mattered more than that." That was regret, pure and undeniable. Not born from revenge, but from realization. The betrayal hadn't ruined the person's life. It had only removed the betrayer's place in it. They had walked away from something valuable, and the world quietly showed them what they'd lost. Epictetus once said, "There is only one way to happiness, to stop worrying about the things beyond our control." Their betrayal? Beyond your control. Your response? Entirely within it. So build a life so rich that their absence barely registers. That's not revenge. That's resilience. And though you never intend to punish them, they'll feel the consequence all the same. Build sincerely. Share naturally, and let the quiet quality of your life speak for itself. A life so full, so radiant that everyone, including them, can see exactly what they lost the right to be part of. If someone has ever hurt you intentionally, and you responded by building a life so good that they can now see what they lost, comment below, "I built without them." Those 4 words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear, to stop waiting for an apology, and start building a life that is the answer. You've already built your foundation: protection, calm, growth. But now we move to something deeper. This is where poetic justice begins. Principle number 5. Turn their attack point into your greatest strength. This is poetic justice in its purest form. They tried to wound you in one specific place, and that exact place becomes your fortress. They thought they had found your weakness. Instead, they revealed the area where you would become indestructible. If they attacked your reputation, rebuild it stronger than ever so that no lie can touch it. If they tried to crush your confidence, grow it so deeply rooted that nothing can shake it again. If they sabotaged your career, rise so far above that their attempt seems laughably small in hindsight. If they shattered your trust, form connections so genuine and grounded that betrayal can never reach you again. Whatever they tried to destroy, make that your strongest wall. Their attack becomes your blueprint for resilience. Because when you rebuild exactly where they tried to break you, something powerful happens. Their attack turns from wound into catalyst. They wanted to break you there. You became unbreakable there. What does this look like in real life? If they sabotaged your work and become the expert they can never discredit. If they mocked your insecurity, transform it into the trait that defines your confidence. If they damaged your name, make your results so undeniable that no rumor can stand against them. If they betrayed your trust, build new relationships that are so authentic they heal the old ones completely. Their attack becomes your origin story. The very place they aim to destroy you becomes the foundation of your greatest power. Why does this create regret? Because they thought they were exposing your weakness, but instead, they forged your strength. They tried to take away your credibility, and in doing so, made you work harder than ever to earn it back. Their plan backfired completely. Now they have to watch you excel in the exact area they hoped to ruin, and realize that their attempt not only failed, it made you unstoppable. That realization cuts deeper than any revenge could. They wanted to see you broken. Instead, they ended up being the reason you became bulletproof. They became the accidental catalyst for your transformation, a role they never intended to play. I experienced this myself once. Years ago, during a painful professional fallout, someone publicly questioned my competence in front of others. It was designed to humiliate me, and it worked for a while. I could have withdrawn, avoided that skill, let their words define what I would never try again. But instead, I made a decision. I enrolled in advanced training. I practiced relentlessly. I sought feedback from experts, and I used the very doubt they planted as fuel, not to prove them wrong, but to prove something to myself. 1 year later, I was recognized as an authority in that exact field, speaking at events, teaching others, publishing articles. Then one day, the same person who had tried to discredit me sent a message. "I didn't mean you weren't good at it," I replied honestly. "I know, but your doubt made me prove to myself that I was. So, thank you." It wasn't sarcasm. It was genuine gratitude. Because the truth was simple. Their attack had become the spark that ignited my mastery. The regret in their response was immediate and obvious. They had tried to diminish me. Instead, they challenged me into excellence. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." And that's exactly what this is. They handed you a challenge, disguised as cruelty. You responded by using it as fuel. They attacked your vulnerability, and it became your source of power. They tried to break you, and you became unbreakable. That's not revenge. That's transformation. It's the quiet justice that life delivers when you rise above and turn their cruelty into the making of your strength. When you identify what they targeted and then develop mastery right there, something powerful happens. You flip the script completely. The wound becomes your fortress. Your expertise in the exact area they attacked becomes visible to the world. You make their chosen battlefield the foundation of your strength. That reversal, that quiet triumph, is their regret. They can't escape it. You've already protected yourself. You've built beautifully. And you've transformed their cruelty into fuel for growth. Now, the next 3 Stoic principles lead to something even higher: transcendence, a state where you are completely free from what they did. Principle number 6. Become the person who cannot be broken by what they did. Their attack revealed something important, not just their intentions, but your own vulnerabilities. Maybe you trusted too easily. Maybe you were too kind to people who hadn't earned it. Maybe you depended too much on external validation. Or maybe you were fragile in ways you didn't realize until they targeted you. Don't resent that revelation. Use it. The lesson wasn't to stop trusting, but to start trusting wisely. The goal isn't to build walls. That's just fear wearing armor. It's to build strength, earned through wisdom and experience. So what does this transformation look like? It looks like emotional resilience, the ability to stay calm even when chaos erupts. It looks like self-worth that doesn't rise or fall based on anyone's opinion. It looks like discernment, seeing clearly without becoming cynical. It looks like boundaries, strong enough to protect your peace but flexible enough to allow love. It looks like trust, not blind but wise and deliberate. Philosopher Nassim Taleb called this being anti-fragile, not just resistant to damage, but actually strengthened by difficulty. You don't merely survive what they did, you evolve because of it. You become someone who grows stronger every time life tries to shake you. Why does this create regret? Because they wanted to break you, and instead, they forged you. They expected to see you shattered, but what emerged was someone wiser, calmer, and untouchable. They didn't just fail to destroy you, they accidentally created their own opposition. Now their actions can't touch you. Not in the past, not in the present, not ever again. You've grown beyond their reach. You've become immune to that kind of harm. That's the natural consequence. They lost all power over you. I once knew someone who lived through this kind of transformation. A devastating betrayal left them emotionally shattered. They had two choices: to become bitter and closed off, or to become wiser and stronger. They chose the latter. Months of therapy, deep self-reflection, learning to recognize red flags they once ignored, developing boundaries they'd never had before, understanding the patterns that once made them vulnerable. A year later, they were transformed, still kind, but no longer naive, still trusting, but now discerning, still open to connection, but with clarity and protection in place. Then one day, the person who betrayed them reached out, going through a difficult time, seeking comfort and understanding, the kind my friend used to freely give. The interaction was polite but distant, firm yet kind. The betrayer noticed the change right away. "You're different now. Harder." My friend smiled calmly and said, "Not harder. Stronger. What you did taught me to protect myself. I'm grateful for that lesson, even though I wish I'd learned it differently." The look on the betrayer's face said everything. That was regret. They had wanted someone soft enough to manipulate, someone whose kindness had no limits. Instead, they created someone they could no longer reach, someone who had learned, grown, and would never again fall for the same harm. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Their attack was the obstacle, but it became the path. Because of them, you learned strength. Because of them, you learned wisdom. And because of them, you became someone who cannot be broken. The wound became wisdom. The betrayal became your boundary. They tried to break you, and instead, you became unbreakable. That transformation is the kind of victory they have to live with, one they can never erase, never undo, and never match. Because you didn't just survive their attack, you used it. You turned their cruelty into your catalyst. You built strength from pain. You developed real resilience. You became the person who can no longer be hurt by the same kind of harm. Let that transformation stand as living proof. They didn't break you. They built your unbreakability. The first 6 Stoic principles gave you protection, strength, and undeniable growth. Now the final 2 bring you to the highest level, transcendence. A freedom so complete that what they did no longer has any power over your life. Principle number 7, forgive them, not for them, but for your own freedom. This one confuses most people. Forgive someone who hurt me on purpose? Why should I? Yes, but not in the way you think, because forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, is not about excusing, forgetting, or reconciling. It doesn't mean saying what they did was acceptable. It doesn't mean erasing the memory or allowing them back into your world. And it definitely doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. Forgiveness here means release. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chain that still ties you to their action. It's about evicting them from your mind, where they've been living rent-free. It's about stopping the bitterness that poisons you, not them. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and waiting for them to die. Forgiveness is putting down the cup and walking away healthy. They hurt you once. But every day you refuse to let go, you let them hurt you again, and again, and again. So what does this look like in practice? You acknowledge the harm, but you no longer feed it with emotion. You stop replaying the scene in your head. You release the resentment because you finally understand it's been hurting you, not them. You reclaim the mental and emotional space they once occupied. You move forward, lighter, freer, unburdened. This is what true indifference looks like. Not forcing yourself not to care, but letting go of what keeps you attached. Why does this create regret? Because hatred is still a form of connection. When you hate them, you're still giving them energy, still letting them matter. But when you forgive, truly forgive, that last link breaks. They lose the final thread that kept them tied to your life. You stop hating them not because they deserve peace, but because you deserve freedom. And in that moment, they become truly irrelevant. You don't love them. You don't hate them. You simply don't feel anything at all. That complete absence of emotion, that calm neutrality, is your freedom. And that's the moment they feel their ultimate irrelevance. That's when they realize they no longer exist in your emotional world. I lived this lesson once. For nearly 2 years, I carried deep resentment after an intentional act of sabotage that cost me a major professional opportunity. I replayed the attack in my mind almost every day, imagining confrontations, rehearsing speeches, even fantasizing about revenge. It was exhausting. Then one day, I realized something simple but life-changing. They had moved on. They were living their life, while I was still living inside their betrayal. That was the day I chose forgiveness, not because they deserved it. But because I deserved peace, I started working on letting go, intentionally. Therapy helped, meditation helped, time helped, and slowly I began to feel something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. It took me months of conscious effort. But one day I realized I hadn't thought about them in weeks. Their name, their face, it no longer carried weight. Then, at an industry event, I saw them, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no bitterness. Just calm neutrality, like seeing a stranger at the grocery store. They approached me, probably expecting a long-delayed confrontation, maybe an apology, maybe drama. Instead, they got politeness and indifference. We exchanged a few words, 30 seconds at most. Then I moved on to talk with people who actually mattered in my life. Later, a mutual colleague mentioned that they looked confused, even hurt. They asked, "Do they hate me?" The colleague replied, "No, they don't think about you at all." That was my freedom, and it was also their consequence. They had expected to still matter even as an enemy. But my complete indifference showed them the truth. They no longer mattered at all. Epictetus understood this perfectly. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. When you hold on to resentment, you hand them the keys to your peace. They live in your thoughts, shape your emotions, control your energy. But when you forgive, not to excuse them, but to free yourself, you reclaim total mastery over your life. They hurt you once. Unforgiveness lets them keep hurting you. Forgiveness ends it, permanently. So forgive, not for their absolution, but for your freedom. Release the bitterness actively. Reclaim the mental space they've been occupying. Achieve genuine indifference. Let them feel what it's like to be completely irrelevant to someone they once wounded. 7. Stoic principles are complete. One remains, the ultimate truth that makes you untouchable forever. Principle number 8. Realize their attack says everything about them and nothing about you. When someone hurts you intentionally, your first instinct is to internalize it. You start asking, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? What's wrong with me? But these are the wrong questions. The right questions are, what's happening inside them that makes hurting others feel necessary? What pain are they carrying that they need to inflict it on someone else? What emptiness are they trying to fill by making others feel small? Their attack reveals their character, not your worth. Hurt people hurt people. Insecure people try to diminish others to feel significant. People without inner peace create outer chaos. Their behavior is not a reflection of your value. It's a confession of their own pain. You were never a deserving target, just a convenient one. You happened to be there when their inner turmoil needed somewhere to escape. So what does this realization look like in your life? You stop asking what's wrong with you and start seeing what's broken in them. You recognize their cruelty as weakness, not your flaw. You understand that it was never really about you at all. It was about them, their insecurity, their wounds, their need to control something outside because they couldn't control what was inside. And that shift in perspective, that quiet, grounded awareness, is liberation. You stop carrying their judgment as truth. You see it for what it really was, their projection, their pain, their problem. Why does this create regret? Because when you blamed yourself, you gave them power. But when you finally understand that their attack was never about you, you take all that power back. You stop seeing them as a villain who hurt you, and start seeing them as a broken person who acted from their own wounds. Not angry, not bitter, just aware. And that clarity, that calm understanding, holds up a mirror they can't escape. For the first time, they're forced to face themselves, to confront the truth their own actions revealed. Years after a deep betrayal, someone I know told me, "The moment I realized it was never about me, I was free." And that's the essence of Stoic mastery. When their actions no longer define you, when their pain no longer reaches you, and when your peace no longer depends on anyone else, that's not just healing. That's freedom. The friend who betrayed wasn't making a statement about my friend's worth. The betrayal exposed their own insecurity. It happened right after my friend got a promotion the ex-friend had desperately wanted. It wasn't about my friend deserving betrayal. It was about the ex-friend being unable to handle their own envy and sense of inadequacy. They couldn't celebrate someone else's success because it reminded them of their own failure. Years of asking, "What did I do wrong?" transformed into, "They couldn't handle their feelings," and I became the target. The wound stopped symbolizing personal lack and became clear as a reflection of someone else's unmanaged pain. Years later, at a reunion, my friend approached the ex-friend with genuine compassion. No grudge, no bitterness, just kindness toward someone who was clearly still trapped in old patterns. The ex-friend broke down in tears. "I was so jealous. I destroyed our friendship because I couldn't be happy for you. I've regretted it every day since. My friend's response was simple yet powerful. I know. I forgive you. I realized long ago it was never about me. It was about what you were struggling with. Through tears, the ex-friend asked, "How did you get past it?" And my friend answered with calm clarity. When I understood it wasn't a reflection of my worth, but a reflection of your pain, I was free. That truth was both kindness and consequence. Kindness, because it carried compassion. Consequence, because it showed that betrayal revealed the betrayer's character, not the betrayed's value. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot distinguish good from evil. Their attacks come from confusion, from their inability to manage emotion, from the absence of inner peace. It has nothing to do with your worth and everything to do with their inner chaos." Internalize this truth completely. See their attack as a confession, not a conviction. Remove all self-blame. Reach an understanding that borders on compassion. Become untouchable through absolute clarity about where their actions come from. That clarity is freedom, a kind of peace they can never take from you. These 8 principles: refusing to react, channeling energy into growth, cutting them off completely, building a life they can see but never touch, strengthening what they attacked, becoming unbreakable, forgiving for your freedom, and understanding their attack reveals them, not you. This is the Stoic path, not revenge, but transcendence. Marcus Aurelius was right. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. You became unlike them. They hurt intentionally. You grew intentionally. They remained trapped in the same pain that made them harm others. You freed yourself completely. That contrast is all the consequence needed. They hurt you on purpose. That was their choice, their action, their confession of who they are. But how you responded, whether you let it define you or refine you, that was yours. You chose growth over bitterness, peace over revenge, strength over victimhood, freedom over attachment. You became someone their attack could never diminish. That transformation is what fuels every ounce of their regret. Not because you hurt them back, but because you refuse to let them hurt you forever. If these principles have shown you the path from pain to power, subscribe. Because the best revenge isn't hurting them back. It's becoming so complete, so free, and so unbreakable that their attack no longer belongs in your story. They tried to write your ending. You wrote a better beginning. That's Stoic power. That's how you make them regret it.